Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee. I talk about books on this channel, mainly books about magic, and if you want to see more of that, you can hit the subscribe button down below. And today we are going to be doing the timeless classic of the mid-year freak out tag. Let's freak out. Hello everyone, and welcome to the timeless classic of the mid-year freakout tag. It is time to freak out on what we have read, what we haven't read, and everything in between. I am really excited to do this. I always enjoy doing this tag, so I'm excited to do it once again. I have done this every year for a long time, and I went back to I have these questions on file that I just copy and paste and fill in the answers so that I'm ready to talk to you about it every year. And I realized that I deleted out the year 2015 and put in 2024 for this. So this tag is almost 10 years old and I have done it for the majority of those years, which is wild. So I'm excited to jump into these questions and tell you how the first half of my year has gone. So the first question on the tag is the best book you've read so far in 2024. And honestly, I think I have to choose The Rest of the Story by Tal Bauer. This book has seared its way onto my heart. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to reread it, and I've basically put myself in a slump for 2 days thinking about this book because it was so beautifully written. The healing, the journey that we go on with Morgan and Shay and the rest of the outlaws in this book is absolutely beautiful. I loved it to bits, and right now it's the best book I read this year, and I don't know if it's going to get dethroned, but this fresh off of it, I doubt it, but I still loved it so much I really want to reread it. So this is the book. This is the moment. However, the second question is the best sequel you've read so far in 2024. And this book has also seared its way onto my heart, and that is Sunbringer by Hannah Kanner. I absolutely loved this book as well. It was absolutely fabulous. I loved it so much. We followed the wonderful cast of characters that we met in Godkiller, and I love this world and this story and what we're doing in this book so much that I honestly, I say The Rest of the Story, but I also loved this one so much. So it's going to be when I have to come down to the end of the year, we have to choose a top spot between these two. It's going to be really tough, but I love them both. So maybe we'll have to do something like this at the end of the year so that I don't have to choose a top book, because I've already read so many good books this year. These two are the top of the list though. Next up is a new release that you haven't read yet but that you want to, and this is A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. This is kind of outside my comfort zone, but it's been one that's sitting on my radar that I keep wanting to get to and other things keep getting in the way of. So this is one that I heard from Aoife over at Pretty Purple Polka Dots, and I really want to check it out. It just sounds so interesting, and it has not quite time travel, I don't think, but it has some timey-wimey elements to it, and I'm really interested in it. It was also a pick from my local bookstore for one of their romance box picks that I get from them, so I have no doubt that it's going to be amazing, and I just really want to read it. So even though this is not a fantasy, it is one that I am really anticipating reading. Someday I will get a new chair so that I don't sink when I sit down on this and change levels while I'm talking to you, and that's when you will know that I have won at life. Number 4 is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and for me this is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. This is the not quite sequel but related book to the Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I think it takes place in the same world but has different characters. I don't think it's a directly connected sequel or anything like that, but I loved the first book that she released and I cannot wait for this one. It is the ultimate cozy deliciousness that I want in the fall, and I can't wait for it to come out. Next up is the biggest disappointment of the year, and for this I'm actually going to choose The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Now, I say this is a disappointment. It still got a 4-star from me. However, I was expecting to be blown out of the water by this book, and it did not do that for me. I thought it was just fine. I enjoyed it overall, but I was expecting a lot more from it, and this book just really ended up being something that I will probably continue on with the series for, but did not like overly impress me. I don't know if my expectations were too high, I don't know what it was, but this one just really didn't end up working out for me as well as I wanted it to. Next up is the biggest surprise that I've had so far this year, and I have a couple for this. Like, I really couldn't decide on one because the Amazing Readathon, as well as talking to my friends about books, has really expanded some of the horizons and some of the books that I check out. So I have a few listed here. First up is Imakoi, and this is a manga series that I got introduced to during this month during the Amazing Readathon. And this has been something that I really enjoyed, and I should have known that I would because I love Fruits Baskets so much, and that is like was a formative book in my youth. But this is a very sweet high school like romance story, and I have absolutely loved all of the volumes that I've read so far, but I didn't know it existed before this month. So it really took me by surprise how much I enjoyed it, and I've had a great time reading it. I also have Role Playing by Kathy Yardley, which was a surprise because I had purchased this on a Kindle day where it was on sale, so I was interested in it, but when I picked it up and read it, I'm so thankful to Heather from Hia Booktubes for like pushing this and making this a host favorite for Tara as well, because I probably would have let it languish on my Kindle a lot longer, and it was absolutely fabulous. So this was another surprise. And then the last one was Fireborn, which is like a YA fantasy, I don't want to say romance, but not quite. It's more political than romance. That really took me by surprise this year because I don't read a lot of YA fantasy anymore. This was a 5-star. I can't wait to continue on with the series. It was absolutely fabulous. Really, really took me by surprise that I loved it as much as I did. But it was such a well-built story, and so many of the people that I trust on BookTube love it. So definitely one that I wanted to check out. Next up is favorite author, and I really try not to do repeats, and I do have a few in this tag this time, but I'm choosing Hannah Kanner from the Fallen Gods trilogy because I think the second book is honestly the most difficult book to pull off in a trilogy because you don't want that second book syndrome, and I honestly think this book avoided that. I loved how we expanded the world. I love how our characters were split up and on different journeys, and we had to explore that, and it really brought a whole new aspect to this world and to this conflict that we're seeing. Like, after the first book, I was really wondering where we were going to go just based on how it ended, and Hannah Kanner took me by surprise and just made everything larger, bigger stakes, more impressive. Her writing is just gorgeous, and I loved it to bits, and I think we avoided second book syndrome in this, which is a really impressive thing to me as a debut author. So can't wait to read book 3. When is it coming? Give it to me right now, please. Next up is newest favorite characters, and for this I'm going to choose the duo of Darren and Duckley from Every Time You Hear That Song. Darren is our main character in our present timeline, and Duckley is our main character in our past timeline, and just seeing how their stories developed, how they were, what they were focused on, what they were doing, kind of how they approached the world was really interesting, and they both wormed their way into my heart. Darren was an easy sell. She's this teen girl who's really trying to figure out her life, where she's going to go, how she's going to get out of her small town, but towards the end she really wormed her way in my heart. And then Duckley was a harder sell for me, but till the end I don't know if you're supposed to love her as much as I did, but she's a little bit ruthless until you get to the end. I just was in love with her because she was consistent. She was consistently out for herself and ruthless in a way, but I loved her for it, and I kind of loved the way this book ended for her. So it's a weird thing to say, but based on the ending, but I still loved it. Books that made me cry this year. All of the ones I've already mentioned, the rest of the story, Sunbringer, Role Playing, Sweep of the Heart, which was a reread by Ilana Andrews. I cry at the drop of a hat for books, so, you know, all of them have made me cry. Next up is book that made me happy, and for this I went with Truly Madly Deeply by Alexandra Bellafleur. Since I'm trying to avoid repeats for this question. This book survived being a 5-star, even though I went to book club and had people tear it apart a little bit and have some very valid critiques of it. However, my enjoyment of it was so high and I had such a good time reading it. It is still staying at a 5-star. Can I see their critiques? Yes. Did I still have a great time reading this? Yes. So it made me that happy that it survived all that. So we're gonna go with this one. Next up, we have a question that is name the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. Now, since I've already showed you Sunbringer, I'm gonna go with this box set that I found used at my local bookstore because it is absolutely gorgeous. This is the Dangerous Tides box set, which I think was organized by Katie Robert. I'm not 100% sure, I think so, but these are absolutely gorgeous, like dual bound hardcovers with sprayed edges, and the box set's beautiful, and I showed it already in a vlog pretty in depth, and I'll probably show it in a book haul at some point, but these win because they are absolutely stunners and I love them. Then the last question is name a book that you need to read by the end of the year. What would you like to pick off of my physical TBR that I haven't read that I would like to read? Because every year I get to this question and I'm like, everything on my physical TBR that's over a year old, but that never happens. So I have some challenges this year that I need to kind of check in on, things like my self-destruct challenge, which I know I don't quite have finished, that I probably need to tackle a little bit soon, as well as I have a local indie like bingo board to fill out, and I have my Our Fantasy TBR that I need to catch up on, as well as my 24 and 24. So I have a lot of options. There's a lot of books that I need to read, but there is a couple, and I'm going to name them. They are The Tiger's Daughter by Kay Arsenault Rivera, The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, and what's the James S.A. Corey one? The Expanse? The first book in the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey. I would like to read those 3 in the end of the year. In fact, I'd like to read them in July because those are ones that I have had for a while. They're some of the last remaining ones on my oldest like TBR shelf for my TBR and review project. So I think those are going to be a goal for the second half of the year. But stay tuned. We'll talk about that more later. But that is it for the mid-year freak out tag. I don't think I freaked out too much. If you have any thoughts or feelings, or if you want to do this tag, please let me know down below and consider yourself tagged if you want to do it. If you just want to let me know you were here, but you don't want to leave a comment, you can always leave a calendar, some kind of like date or tracking emoji, whatever works out for you. But that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!